Chapter 1. The Hunt Beneath the Blood Moon. The forest breathed like a living thing. Wind hissed through the silver pines, scattering moonlight across the damp earth. Kael moved through it like a shadow among shadows, every sense sharpened, every heartbeat echoing with the hunger of his wolf. Tonight was supposed to bring peace. The blood moon should have ended the plague. Instead, his pack howled in agony, and the sickness spread like wildfire through their veins. And then came the whispers, a creature seen wandering the borderlands, pale as moonlight, eyes that bled shadow. The villagers called her the moon's curse made flesh. Kael didn't believe in fairy tales, but he believed in death, and death had followed her tracks. His boots sank into the soft mud as he neared the clearing. The scent hit him first, wild, cold, tinged with something ancient. His wolf stirred, restless beneath his skin. She's close. The moon tore through the clouds. Silver light spilled across a figure kneeling beside the stream. A girl, or something like one. Her skin shimmered faintly, her hair falling like liquid night. The shadows around her moved. They breathed. Kael drew his blade, though he didn't remember doing it. "You there," he said, voice low-edged. "Turn around." She froze. Then slowly, her head lifted, and he saw the mark burning faintly along her collarbone. A crescent scar, pulsing like living moonfire. Kael's grip faltered. That mark, it was the same symbol carved on the temple walls, the mark of the moon goddess herself. The girl whispered, voice breaking through the wind. "Don't come closer." The shadows rippled outward like living smoke, swallowing the light between them. For one fractured heartbeat, Kael saw her face clearly, beautiful, but wrong, fractured between human and something else. And then the darkness swallowed everything. Chapter 2. The Shadow's Warning. The world was drowning in black. Not night, not simple darkness. This was alive, thick, breathing, swallowing the forest whole. It clawed at Kael's mind, whispering things he couldn't understand, voices layered over voices until his wolf snarled inside him, desperate to fight or flee. He dropped to one knee, forcing air into his lungs. His blade hummed faintly, catching what little moonlight pierced through the fog. Focus. Breathe. The light. Find the light. He looked up, and through the suffocating dark, he saw her. The girl. The creature. Whatever she was. Her eyes glowed like twin eclipses, half sorrow, half rage. The shadows swirled around her, drawn to her heartbeat, to her pain. She looked terrified but also resigned, as if this curse had become a part of her. "Stop!" Kael's voice came rough, distorted by the wolf pressing at his throat. "You'll bring the whole forest down on us. I told you not to come closer." Her voice trembled, carrying something sharp beneath it, guilt, maybe. "You shouldn't have seen me." Too late for that. The shadows recoiled at his words, curling tighter around her form. The silver edge of his sword flared briefly, cutting through the gloom, and she flinched, not from fear but from pain. He realized then that the light hurt her. "What are you?" he demanded, lowering the blade slightly. "What are you doing on my land?" Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she lifted her hand, trembling, and pointed to the sky. The moon bled. Kael's chest tightened as the red wash deepened, painting the forest in crimson glow. The same glow that had swept through his kingdom the night the lunar plague began. The same glow that had taken his brother, his scouts, his people. "This curse," he muttered. "You brought it." Her expression cracked, anguish breaking through composure. "No, I was made for it." The shadows around her convulsed violently, and Kael felt the ground shake beneath him. His instincts screamed to shift, to unleash the wolf and end the threat, but something in her voice pinned him still. Made for it. A curse that breathes, a creature bound to the moon, and a girl who sounds like she's begging to be killed. Her hair whipped around her face as the wind surged. "The moon goddess marked me to bear her punishment," she cried. barely audible over the roar. And now your pack suffers because of me. Kael's blood froze. You're saying the plague is my curse, she finished, eyes glistening with moonlight and tears. It spreads when the moon turns red. I can't stop it, and anyone who touches me. She didn't finish. Her body spasmed as the shadow struck outward again, slamming Kael back into the mud. He hit the ground hard, pain flaring white behind his eyes. When his vision cleared, she was standing over him, pale, shaking, the darkness retreating as fast as it had come. "Stay away from me," she whispered, "or you'll damn yourself too." He should have listened, should have ordered his guards to hunt her down and end this nightmare. But instead, Kael rose slowly, his wolf thrumming with something that wasn't fear. Curiosity, recognition, a thread of destiny humming between them. She turned to run, but he caught the faintest flicker of silver beneath the shadow along her wrist, a half-moon scar glowing in time with his own heartbeat. The same pulse, the same rhythm. She vanished into the forest before he could speak again, swallowed by the dark. Kael stood alone beneath the blood moon, breath ragged, sword limp at his side. The shadows had retreated, but her voice lingered, soft, broken, and far too human. "Stay away, or you'll damn yourself too." He didn't know it yet, but it was already too late. The curse had chosen him. Chapter 3. Echoes of the Moon. The castle walls felt colder than the forest. Kael paced before the throne, boots dragging mud across the marble. Outside, the wind keened through the high arches, the same mournful cry that had followed him since the hunt. He couldn't shake the image. The girl's face, pale and terrified, the way the shadows had bent to her will, or perhaps she bent to theirs. The way her pulse had matched his. His beta, Darius, entered quietly. "The healers report no change, my king. The lunar sickness still spreads through the pack." Kael's jaw tightened. How many this time? 17 fell before dawn. The silence that followed was suffocating. Kael turned toward the window, watching the blood moon sink slowly behind the mountain line, leaving a faint silver trail. The goddess was silent tonight, as she had been for months. "Tell them to burn the bodies before sunrise," Kael said at last, voice rough. "I won't risk another outbreak." Darius bowed his head. "Yes, my king." "And the creature? Did you find anything?" Kael hesitated, just a heartbeat too long. "A woman," he said finally. "Cursed. Dangerous. But not what I expected." Darius's brow furrowed. "You saw it." Kael met his gaze. "Her." The beta said nothing. He didn't have to. The question hung heavy between them. Why did you let her go? Kael didn't have an answer. He should have killed her. Should have ended whatever magic tethered her to the moon. But when he looked into her eyes, the despair, the resignation, something inside him had cracked. "She warned me," Kael murmured. "Said the curse would damn me too. Then stay away." He almost laughed. "You think I can?" A muscle jumped in his jaw. The wolf inside him stirred restlessly, pacing just beneath his skin. It had been years since anything stirred that beast in this way. Not rage, not hunger, not war. This was different. The pull was instinctive, ancient, as if the moon herself had whispered his name through her. He moved to the map table. Every inch of silver pine territory stretched before him. Rivers, villages, borders. His finger traced the northern forest where he'd found her, the place where the curse had begun. The air shifted, a chill sweeping through the room. The moonlight pouring through the window flared suddenly bright, bathing him in silver. For a moment, he swore he could hear her voice again, faint, breaking. "You shouldn't have seen me." Kael's hand clenched on the table edge. His pulse echoed the rhythm of the moon's light. He whispered into the stillness. "Then why did you let me?" The torches flickered violently, and from somewhere deep in the stone halls below, a wolf howled, long and low, the cry of something ancient remembering its bond to the moon. Kael closed his eyes, breath shaking. He didn't need to ask what it meant. The curse was spreading again, and somehow so was his connection to her. He turned sharply toward Darius. "Prepare the riders. I want the northern border watched. If she appears again, capture or kill." Kael hesitated. His throat tightened. "Bring her to me." Chapter 4. When the moon calls his name. That night, the moon rose like a blade. Sharp, silver, watching. Kael stood alone on the terrace above the sleeping fortress, his cloak snapping in the wind. Below him, the forest stretched, dark, endless, alive with whispers. The night breathed, and every inhale carried her scent. Wild honey, smoke, storms. He gripped the stone railing until his knuckles whitened. "Enough!" he growled under his breath. "She's nothing but a curse." Yet even as he said it, the word curse trembled, like it didn't believe itself. The wind shifted again, cold and restless. His wolf stirred, and then he heard it. "Kael!" Her voice, soft as mist. It wasn't real. It couldn't be. But then his mark, the one etched across his collarbone since birth, burned. Hard. The ancient rune of his line pulsed with moonlight, each beat sinking to her voice. He staggered back, gripping his chest. No, his breath came rough. Not her. Not now. The moon brightened, bleeding through the clouds until the world turned white. The light crawled down his skin, seeping into his veins, dragging something ancient awake. And just like that, everything changed. The night answered her call. Wolves howled from the valley below, one after another. Hundreds, then thousands, the sound rippling like a living tide. The forest trembled beneath the weight of the moon's command. Kael fell to one knee. His wolf surged, furious, hungry, desperate. He felt her heartbeat pounding through the bond that shouldn't exist. "Show yourself," he roared. "If this is your doing, come out and face me." Silence. Then movement. A shadow stepped from the tree-line. She emerged slowly, barefoot, her hair whipping wild in the wind, her torn cloak clinging to her like darkness itself. Moonlight kissed her face, and though her eyes were the same haunting gray, something inside them glowed with defiance. "Why are you here?" he demanded, voice rougher than he intended. She tilted her head. "You heard me." Kael's pulse thundered. "You called my name." "I didn't mean to." Her voice shook, but her gaze didn't waver. "The curse, it binds more than you know." "Then break it," he snapped, "before it takes my people too." Her laugh was soft, broken. "You think I haven't tried?" The space between them burned. The air thickened with something older than magic, something that hummed beneath the skin. Kael took a step forward, then another. "Tell me what you are." "I was human once," she whispered. "Before she cursed me." "Your stepmother." She nodded. "She envied my beauty, my father's love, so she took both. Now, anyone who sees my true form falls to madness or death." He froze. "And yet I saw you." Her lips trembled. "That's what terrifies me." The wind roared again, carrying their sense, their fear, their hunger, until the night itself seemed to lean closer. Kael's chest rose and fell heavy. Her voice, her eyes, her scent, everything about her felt wrong, yet right, as if fate had chosen the cruelest way to ruin him. She turned to leave, cloak swirling like smoke. "You should forget me, Alpha, before your curse begins." But before she could vanish into the trees, Kael caught her wrist, heat meeting cold. "In the span of a breath," he murmured. "I've thought of nothing else." Her gaze locked with his, terrified, aching, unyielding. The mark on his chest flared again. Silver light erupted between them, and for a heartbeat they stood suspended in the same pulse, their souls screaming the same name. Then she was gone. The forest swallowed her whole. Kael stood trembling in the moonlight, breath ragged, pulse wild. He knew one thing now, one truth that would change everything. The curse wasn't hunting him. It was calling him. Chapter 5: The Wolf Beneath the Crown. By the time the sun rose, Kael hadn't slept. The fortress was still, yet the air hummed, thick with the scent of moonfire and something he couldn't shake. He stood before the mirror in his chamber, hands braced against the cold stone basin. The mark on his chest still glowed faintly beneath his skin, pulsing like a heartbeat that wasn't entirely his. "Damn it," he muttered. "What did you do to me?" He splashed cold water across his face, hoping to drown the whisper in his head. "Kael," but it lingered, soft, feminine, relentless. A knock at the door. "Enter!" Ronan stepped inside, his beta his oldest friend. His expression was wary. "You call the patrols back early last night. The men are asking questions." Kael straightened, his voice clipped. "Tell them the hunt's postponed. We regroup tonight." "Because of her." Ronan's tone sharpened. "They say they saw someone, a woman, near the ridge. Cloaked. Strange." Kael's jaw flexed. "Rumors?" Ronan's eyes narrowed. "Then why does the moonstone glow like that?" He pointed subtly to Kael's chest. The mark pulsed, betraying him. Kael turned away, cloak shifting over his shoulders. "It's nothing." "Kael!" "I said it's nothing." The words snapped like a whip, echoing through the chamber. Ronan exhaled, tension thick between them. "You can lie to the pack, brother, but not to me. The last time that mark burned, your father fell." Silence stretched. The memory clawed through Kael's mind. His father's body crumpled beneath the blood moon, the scent of iron and regret. "I won't let history repeat," Kael said quietly. "Whatever this curse is, I'll end it." Ronan hesitated, then nodded. "Then start by finding her." The words hit like a command Kael had been avoiding. He looked toward the horizon, where the forest shimmered with morning fog. "Maybe that's exactly what it wants," he whispered. Ronan frowned. "What?" But Kael was already moving. His boots hit the stone floor in a measured rhythm, each step laced with the weight of decision. "She's out there." The thought came unbidden. "And she knows what I am now." Still, even as reason warned him away, instinct, primal, ancient, pulled him forward. By the time he reached the gates, the sky had turned the color of molten silver. His wolf clawed beneath his skin, pacing, growling, wanting. The guard stiffened as he passed, bowing low. "Alpha!" He didn't answer. The forest waited, dark, endless, hungry. As he crossed into the trees, the familiar hum of power met him like an old enemy. Every rustle, every whisper felt alive, watching, waiting. "Aria!" he murmured under his breath. Her name felt like a sin. And yet, the moment it left his lips, the wind shifted. Her scent brushed past him, faint, deliberate, teasing. His pulse spiked. "So you are watching me." The forest answered with silence. Still, deep down, he knew the truth. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was madness. But Kael couldn't walk away now, not when the curse was breathing his name. Chapter 6: The Girl in the Moonlight. The forest was different tonight. Quieter, as if the trees themselves held their breath. Kael moved like shadow through the mist, each step deliberate, his senses sharpened to the edge of a blade. His wolf prowled just beneath his skin, restless, uneasy. The scent he followed was faint but unmistakable, wild honey and stormfire. Aria! The name brushed through his thoughts like a forbidden prayer. Soon after, he reached the moon well, a sacred pool carved into the earth where the moon goddess once blessed their kind. Silver light shimmered across its surface, rippling in patterns that weren't natural. Something was wrong. He crouched, fingertips grazing the damp moss. Blood. Fresh. Then movement. Across the water, a figure stumbled into view. She was barefoot, her cloak torn, her skin smeared with ash and moonlight. And beneath it all, her curse pulsed, dark shadows flickering at the edges of her body like smoke trying to escape. Kael's instinct surged. Aria! Her head snapped up, fear and fury tangled in her eyes. Stay back! He didn't move. You're bleeding. It's not my blood, she whispered, but her voice shook. That's when he saw them, shapes slithering from the treeline. Wolves. But wrong. Their bodies shimmered with unnatural light, eyes hollow, mouths dripping with silver foam. Cursed. What are they? Kael demanded. My stepmother's hounds, she said bitterly. She sends them when she feels me resist. The creatures growled, low and guttural, circling closer. Kael stepped forward, baring his fangs as his wolf clawed for control. Run, Aria hissed. Instead, Kael ripped off his cloak. I don't run from shadows. The nearest wolf lunged. Kael met it midair, a blur of claws and fury. Bones cracked. Blood sprayed hot across his face. He moved like a storm, his wolf surging in rhythm with his rage. Behind him, Aria whispered something in a language older than the moon. The air thickened, the cursed wolf shuddered, then disintegrated into dust. Silence fell. Kael turned, chest heaving, the metallic taste of blood still fresh on his tongue. You can do magic. Her expression twisted. Magic does me. He stepped closer, eyes searching hers. That's not an answer. She hesitated, trembling as moonlight slid across her face. I was born under the moon's favor. My power was supposed to heal. But my stepmother twisted it. She bound it to the curse. Every time I use it, a piece of me dies. The words hit like a blade. Kael felt something shift, a thread snapping between logic and feeling. That's why you hide, he murmured. She looked away. You don't understand. Then make me. The air between them pulsed, heavy, electric. Her heartbeat thundered, wild and uneven, echoing his own. Why do you care? She demanded, voice breaking. You're the Alpha King. You should kill me. He took a slow step forward, then another, until her back hit the trunk of an ancient oak, and his voice dropped low, rough, dangerous. Because I can't. Aria's breath caught. You don't mean that. Kael's hand hovered near her face, not touching, but close enough that the heat between them burned. Tell me what she did to you. Tell me how to end this. Tears shimmered in her eyes. You can't end it. You can only break yourself trying. His pulse roared. Then I'll break. The forest fell silent, as if the night itself bowed to that vow. In the span of a breath, the air shifted, heavy with something unspoken, inevitable. Her shadow curled around his boots like smoke, his mark flared bright beneath his shirt, and for the first time Kael understood. The curse wasn't meant to destroy her. It was meant to bind him. Chapter 7. The Blood Moon Bargain. The ride back to the fortress felt like eternity wrapped in silence. Aria sat behind him on the horse, her hands cold against his waist, her breath barely brushing his neck. Every heartbeat was a war drum. Every inhale reminded him she was too close and too far all at once. By the time they reached the gate, the moon had risen high, a thin scar of silver cutting through the clouds. The guards bowed low. No one dared question why their king carried a woman wrapped in shadow. Inside, torches flared to life, painting her pale face in flickering gold. The fortress loomed, stone, iron, and memory. She flinched. You brought me to your den. Call it what you want, Kael said, dismounting. You're safe here. Safe! Her laugh was sharp, almost bitter. You don't even believe that. He turned, meeting her gaze. Maybe not, but until I find a cure, no one touches you. Not even the goddess herself. Her eyes softened for a fraction of a second before something behind them shuddered closed. Careful, Alpha, she murmured. You sound like you care. Kael's jaw clenched. Maybe I do. For a moment, the world stilled. Two forces circling, testing the boundaries of fate. But then, the air changed. The scent hit him first. Iron, smoke, and the faint trace of blood. Kael! His beta, Thorn, burst through the hall doors, panting. It's the eastern wolves, they're sick. Their eyes, they're glowing red. Aria stiffened. The blood moon, she whispered. It's begun. Kael turned sharply. What does that mean? It means, she said, voice trembling, my curse isn't just mine anymore. The words fell like stones. Kael's heart pounded. You're saying my pack is connected to me, she finished. Your blood oath to the moon, goddess, binds all wolves under her light. And because I was cursed through her, it's spreading through yours. For a second, he couldn't breathe. The fortress suddenly felt smaller, tighter. You should have told me, he growled. I didn't know until tonight, she shot back. You think I want this? He stepped forward, close enough that his shadow swallowed hers. Then help me stop it. Her throat bobbed. There's one way. Kael's pulse roared. Say it. She hesitated, eyes glimmering like moonfire. A blood bargain. You give me protection under your mark, and I give you the power to sever the curse. His wolf stirred. A bond. Dangerous. Irreversible. You be mine, he said slowly. In every sense. Her chin lifted. Only until the curse is broken. Liar. The word slipped out, low and dark. Something flickered in her gaze. Fear, and maybe desire. You don't trust anyone, do you? Trust gets wolves killed. Then why offer me your protection? He took a step closer. Because you're the weapon my enemy fears. And because, his voice dropped, I can't stop thinking about you. Her breath hitched. You don't even know what I am. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Then I'll learn. Between them, the air thickened, shadows twisting, the moon's light spilling through the window like a blessing and a warning. Swear it, she whispered. On your blood. Kael drew a dagger, slicing his palm. I swear. Aria mirrored him, her hand trembling as their blood mingled, dark, red alive. The magic surged, burning through his veins like wildfire. The bond sealed with a flash of silver light. Then silence. Her knees buckled. He caught her before she fell, his arms closing around her as her breath came in shallow gasps. What's happening? He demanded. Her eyes fluttered. The bond it takes, something from both of us. Kael felt it then, a whisper in his mind that wasn't his own. Her heartbeat inside his chest. Her fear. Her power. And just like that, the curse wasn't hers alone anymore. Chapter 8. The Echo Between Us. The dawn came like a wound reopening. Kael woke with the taste of moonlight and blood in his mouth, his body trembling with a heat that wasn't entirely his own. For a moment, he didn't know where he ended and she began. Her scent lingered in the air, smoke, salt, and something wild. The mark on his palm pulsed faintly, silver veins threading up his wrist like roots of light. He sat up. Across the chamber, Aria slept on a divan near the window, curled beneath the rising sun. But the light didn't burn her. It shimmered against her skin, tracing faint runes that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. What have I done? Every instinct screamed to keep his distance. Yet something deeper, older, pulled him closer. His wolf stirred beneath his skin, restless, hungry, curious. He rose quietly, boots silent against the stone. When he reached her side, the bond thrummed. He could feel her emotions before she stirred, confusion, exhaustion, and a whisper of fear tangled with his own. Then her eyes opened. Silver met amber. You feel it too, she whispered. Kael nodded once. Our bond. It's not just blood, she murmured, voice soft but steady. It's soul deep. You've tied yourself to my curse and to me. The words hit him like a blow. Then we'll face it together. She shook her head, sitting up. You don't understand. The more you fight the curse, the more it feeds on your strength. You've made yourself its host as much as I am. Kael stepped closer, jaw tightening. You think I'd let you face this alone? Her gaze flickered, torn between gratitude and dread. You don't even know what I've become. Then show me. The silence that followed was heavy enough to break something inside him. Aria rose slowly, her bare feet whispering against the stone. The light shifted, and then her shadow moved wrong. It separated from her body, stretching across the wall like a living thing, her silhouette flickering, then taking form with eyes like molten glass. Kael froze, his hand instinctively going to his blade. "It's the curse," she said, voice trembling. "Every full moon, it grows stronger, it hunts through me. If I lose control..." The shadow lunged forward, and Kael reacted, his wolf erupting in a surge of silver fire. He grabbed her arm, grounding her, pulling her back as the shadow screamed and vanished like smoke. Aria gasped, collapsing into him. His arms caught her again, just like before. "Breathe," he said roughly, voice low near her ear. "It's gone." Her body trembled against his. "You shouldn't have done that." Too late. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, he saw not just the cursed girl, but the woman beneath, fierce and terrified and brave enough to still be standing. "You risked your soul for a stranger," she whispered. Kael's lips curved in something between a smirk and a wound. "Then stop being a stranger." Her breath hitched. "Kael!" He brushed his thumb across the mark on her wrist, watching it glow faintly where their blood had mingled. "This bond may damn us both," he said quietly. "But if it means ending this plague and saving my pack, I'll bear the cost." Her eyes softened, tears gathering but never falling. "You don't even realize you already have." Before he could answer, a knock shattered the stillness. "Your Majesty!" Thorn's voice came muffled from behind the door. "The eastern wolves, they're turning." Kael's wolf growled, every muscle tensing. Aria's expression changed, fear giving way to grim resolve. "It's begun again. The blood moon won't stop until it takes everything." Kael turned toward the door, his hand tightening on his blade. Then it picked the wrong alpha to challenge. He looked back at her, one heartbeat, one unspoken vow between them. "Stay close, Aria," he said, eyes burning like wildfire. "Because from this moment on, your curse is mine to fight." Chapter 9: The Turning. The fortress courtyard burned with chaos. Kael descended the marble steps 2 at a time, Thorn at his side, the scent of blood thick in the air. His wolves, snarled and writhed on the stone floor, their bodies twisting under a crimson light that pulsed from beneath their skin. The blood moon's curse had never spread this fast. Not like this. Kael's vision sharpened, his wolf pushing closer to the surface as he scanned the courtyard. Warriors were trying to hold down the infected, but every bite, every scratch seemed to spread the corruption like wildfire. Then he felt it, the pull. A violent surge of pain tore through his chest, as though claws raked him from the inside out. He stumbled, clutching his ribs. A cry echoed in his mind, soft yet agonized. "Kael!" He turned. Aria stood on the balcony above, pale and shaking. The mark on her wrist blazed bright silver, the same glow pulsed beneath his skin. They were linked in agony. "What's happening?" he growled, gritting his teeth. Her voice carried over the courtyard, trembling but clear. "The curse, it's feeding through me, through us. When they turn, it resonates with my bond. Your blood carried the link to them." Kael's stomach dropped. His pack, infected because of the bargain he'd made. Thorn's voice broke through the chaos. "They're losing control, Alpha. Command them, before it spreads." Kael forced himself upright, fighting through the shared pain. He reached inward, calling on the ancient Alpha bond, the one that tied every wolf in his pack to his will. His growl deepened, vibrating through the air like thunder. "Stand down!" The command rolled across the courtyard. Some wolves hesitated, snarls faltered, claws paused mid-strike. But the curse was stronger. The crimson light flared again, defying his command. A low snarl escaped him. The old ways weren't enough. Then, through the haze of pain, he heard Aria's voice in his mind. Kael, let me in. He froze. What? Our bond links more than blood. If you let me touch your power, I can help you channel it. But you have to trust me. Trust. The word stung like a blade. Trust had cost him everything once. His father, his brother, his crown. And yet, when he looked up at her, eyes glowing with silver fire and defiance, something in him knew. She was already inside his soul. Kael exhaled, closing his eyes. Do it! The moment her magic touched his, the world cracked open. A rush of energy surged between them. His power, raw and primal, met hers, dark and ancient. The air shimmered, and every wolf in the courtyard howled as if struck by lightning. Kael's mind filled with visions of chains forged from moonlight, of Aria's shadow battling her reflection, of a monstrous entity whispering from beneath the earth, "Break the seal, and the curse will end." When his eyes snapped open, the red glow had dimmed. Dozens of wolves lay panting on the stone, no longer feral but weak, alive. The silence that followed was deafening. Thorn exhaled, voice shaking. "By the moon, you did it." Kael barely heard him. His gaze was fixed on Aria, still on the balcony, her hands clutching the railing for balance. She looked fragile, exhausted, but she was smiling. "You controlled it," she said softly. "You bent the curse without breaking it." Kael's heartbeat pounded in his ears. "No, we did." But as the words left his mouth, a drop of blood slid from her nose. Her eyes flickered silver to black. Then she collapsed. Kael was moving before he realized it, blurring up the steps, catching her just as her knees gave way. Her body trembled in his arms, cold as stone. "Aria, stay with me." She tried to speak, but only one word escaped her lips, barely a breath. "Shadowborn." Her eyes rolled back, and darkness claimed her. Kael's heart slammed against his ribs. He lifted her easily, every instinct screaming to protect her, even as dread coiled through his gut. Because he'd felt it, when their magic merged. Something else had stirred. Something watching, waiting. And for the first time, Kael wondered if he had bound himself not to a curse, but to a prophecy. Chapter 10. The Blood Pact. The first thing Kael heard was her breathing. Shallow, uneven, fragile. She lay on the silk-draped bed in his private chamber, moonlight spilling across her skin like liquid silver. Her hair, once a muted chestnut, now shimmered faintly with the same eerie light that had saved his pack. He hadn't left her side all night. Every time she stirred, his heart stopped. Every time her pulse faltered, the beast inside him clawed against his ribs. Thorn had urged him to rest. The healers had begged to examine her. He'd refused them all. No one else was allowed near her, not after what he'd seen. Because of that power, that connection. When their souls had touched, something ancient had awakened, and it hadn't gone back to sleep. Kael ran a hand through his hair, his mind a storm. "What are you, Aria?" he whispered under his breath. "And why does the moon obey you?" Before he could stand, her voice broke the silence, soft, trembling. Maybe because the moon knows pain. His head snapped toward her. Her eyes were open, glimmering silver and shadow all at once. "You're awake," he breathed, relief cutting through the tension like sunlight. "Barely." She tried to sit up. Kael moved closer, steadying her with one hand on her shoulder. Her skin was warm, too warm, and her heartbeat echoed against his palm like thunder in a hollow chest. "What happened to me?" she asked, voice hoarse. "It feels like something's alive inside me." Kael met her gaze. "You took in part of my power when you helped me control the curse. It shouldn't be possible. Yet here we are." Her lips twitched in a faint, pained smile. "Cursed together." Despite the weight in his chest, he almost smiled. "Almost. Don't joke about that." But her next words silenced him. "I saw something, Kael. When our power joined. A voice. A woman cloaked in black fire. She called me Shadowborn. Do you know what that means? Kael stiffened. The name struck a chord buried deep in his memory, an echo of an old tale his father once told him. The Shadowborn were said to be witches who served the Moon Mother herself, he said slowly. But they were destroyed centuries ago, burned for binding their souls to alpha bloodlines. Aria's eyes widened. Then the curse! Wasn't a curse at all. He swallowed hard. It was a seal. Your stepmother didn't just curse you to hide your beauty. She marked you to contain something powerful. Something tied to the first Alpha King. Aria's voice trembled. The Shadowborn's last heir. He finished the thought for her, his tone grim. Could break the balance between wolf and moon. Silence hung heavy between them. The fire crackled low in the hearth. Outside, a cold wind whispered against the stone, carrying with it the faint howl of wolves still recovering from the night's ordeal. Finally, Aria turned her face toward him. So what now? Kael's gaze hardened. Now we find out what she wanted sealed, and why it's waking through you. She nodded slowly, but her hand brushed against his wrist, stopping him as he stood. Kael, when our power merged, I felt your memories. His chest tightened. What did you see? Her voice softened, fragile as the flicker of candlelight. A woman with silver eyes. Her death. The way you screamed when you couldn't save her. He froze. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. That was my mate, he said at last, the words scraping raw from his throat. She died because of the same curse that runs through you. Aria's expression faltered, sorrow and fear flickering behind her gaze. Then you hate me. Kael looked at her for a long moment, too long. Then, slowly he shook his head. No, I don't. His hand brushed her cheek, rough and hesitant. But I don't understand why the moon would give me another bond when I already failed the first. Aria's lips parted as if to answer, but before she could speak, the torches in the chamber flickered violently. The shadows along the wall deepened, coiling like living smoke. And from within that darkness, a voice hissed, low, feminine and cruel. Because, my dear king, she was never your first bond. The room froze. The scent of frost and blood filled the air. Kael's pulse thundered. Who's there? The shadow shifted, forming the outline of a woman, a reflection of Aria herself, but with eyes of burning red. Aria gasped, clutching her chest. No, it can't be. The figure smiled, her lips curling into a knowing sneer. Did you really think your stepmother's jealousy was mortal? Kael stepped in front of Aria, claws half-formed, his voice a low growl. What are you? The shadow's laughter filled the chamber like breaking glass. I am the curse you thought you could tame. Then, just like that, the darkness vanished, leaving only silence and the faint scent of Aria's fear. Kael turned toward her, his breath uneven. She's inside you, he said hoarsely. Your stepmother. Aria's eyes brimmed with tears, silver light flickering behind them. No, she's becoming me. And just like that, everything changed again. Chapter 11, The Wolf's Fear. The fire had long since died, but the scent of smoke clung to the air, thick, heavy, almost suffocating. Kael hadn't moved in hours. His body was still, but his mind, it raged like a storm that refused to quiet. Aria slept restlessly across the chamber, her face turned toward the window where moonlight filtered in through torn curtains. Each time she exhaled, a thin mist escaped her lips, curling into the faintest traces of shadow before dissolving. She was changing, and he didn't know if she'd still be Aria when she woke. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the floor like a caged animal. Every instinct in him screamed to protect her. Mine, his wolf snarled, but the rational part of him knew better. She wasn't just the girl cursed by the moon anymore. She was the vessel of something older, darker, something that had whispered his name in his sleep since the night he first saw her. Thorn's words echoed in his head. You're playing with a shadow, Kael. Touch her, and she'll drag your soul under. Maybe he already was too far gone. A sound, a low whimper, snapped him from his thoughts. He was beside her before the next breath. Her body trembled, her fingers clutched the sheets tight. "Aria," he murmured, brushing her hair from her face. "You're safe. You're with me." Her eyes flew open. But they weren't her eyes. They burned crimson, flickering like embers through smoke. The voice that came from her lips wasn't hers either. So protective, Alpha. Just like before. Kael froze, every muscle coiling. Before. The shadow in her smile deepened. When you swore yourself to the moon's daughter. When you promised to guard her light until it burned you alive. He stepped back, the words sinking like knives. "Who are you talking about?" The voice laughed, soft mocking. "You don't remember? Then let me remind you." The chamber walls shuddered. For an instant, Kael saw another world flicker before his eyes. A silver temple bathed in blood, wolves howling under an eclipsed moon, and a woman on the altar whose face mirrored Aria's. He stumbled back, gasping as the vision shattered. Aria collapsed, the shadows withdrawing from her body like smoke sucked from a flame. Her chest heaved. "Kael," she whispered. "I didn't mean to." He caught her before she fell, his arms closing around her trembling frame. "You didn't do this," he said fiercely. "She did." Her tears burned against his skin. "She's inside me. I can feel her, whispering every time I breathe." Kael tilted her chin up. "Then listen to me. You fight her. You hear me. You're stronger than she is. But what if I'm not?" Her voice cracked. "What if she's what I really am?" Kael's heart twisted. "Then I'll fight her for you." Her gaze searched his, desperate, broken. "Why?" He hesitated. The truth pressed against his chest like a blade. "Because when I look at you," he exhaled, voice rough, "I don't see a curse. I see the only thing that's ever felt real." Silence stretched between them. Her lips parted, trembling. "Kael!" But before either could move, the air in the room shifted, sharp, cold, electric. The moonlight through the window flared blindingly bright, casting their shadows long across the floor. And within those shadows, something stirred. The voice came again, soft as silk and twice as dangerous. "So it begins again. Love, the oldest curse of all." Aria screamed as her body arched, light bursting from beneath her skin. Kael grabbed her, but the force threw him back. His shoulder slammed against the wall, his vision spinning. When it cleared, he saw her standing at the window, her silhouette wrapped in light and shadow both, her hair billowing in an unseen wind. The mark on her collarbone burned crimson, and the thing inside her, her stepmother's spirit, smiled through her lips. "The moon doesn't choose twice, my king." Kael's wolf roared inside him, desperate, furious. "Get out of her!" The smile only widened. "You want her back." The shadow's tone was honey and venom. "Then follow the moon's path, and find me where it ends, in the ruins you tried to forget." The light vanished. Aria crumpled to the floor. Kael dropped to his knees beside her, trembling, his breath ragged. "Aria!" Her pulse fluttered weakly beneath his touch, but when her eyes opened, they were her own again, clear, silver, terrified. "I saw her memories," she whispered. "She loved you once, Kael." He went still. "What?" "She was your mate in another life." His heart stopped. And just like that, the past he thought buried came clawing back from the dark. Chapter 12, The Ruins of Memory. The forest was silent, as if it held its breath for him. Moonlight speared through the trees, silvering the path ahead. Each step Kael took seemed to echo with something ancient, something watching. The air itself was thick with memory. He had left Aria behind in the care of his most trusted warriors, though it nearly tore him in half to do so. Her last words haunted him. "She was your mate in another life." The curse wasn't just about her, it was about them. The moon's path, the spirit had said. And it had led him here, to the ruins that once belonged to his ancestors. The Temple of the Silver Hell. Kael stopped at the edge of the clearing. What remained of the temple was a skeletal frame of stone, its marble cracked and overrun with vines. Moonlight pooled in the center, spilling through a hole in the roof where an ancient symbol had once been carved, the sigil of the moon goddess. He stepped inside, his boots crunching over fallen tiles. The scent hit him first, dust, moss, and faintly the ghost of incense. His heart pounded in his chest as something deep within stirred, an echo not of this life but another. "Do you remember now?" The voice came from behind him, soft as silk and cold as death. Kael turned. She stood at the far end of a temple, Aria's stepmother, or what was left of her. Her form shimmered like smoke made flesh, her eyes pools of liquid silver. In her, he saw Aria's face twisted with something cruel, beautiful, and eternal. "I remember nothing," Kael growled, though his voice betrayed the tremor in his throat. "Oh, but your soul does," she whispered, gliding closer. "You were the moon's chosen before. You swore to love her until time ended, and when she fell, you burned the world in your grief." Visions flared around him. The temple alive again, lit by hundreds of candles, the sound of wolves howling in unison. A woman in silver robes, her face, so like Aria's, radiant with light, and himself, kneeling before her, a crown of obsidian upon his brow. Her voice echoed from the memory. "If I am to die, promise me you will find me again, even if I am cursed to forget you." He gasped, the image fading. "It was you," he rasped. "You cursed her." The stepmother smiled, shadows dancing along her translucent skin. "I warned her not to love a wolf born of shadow, but she defied me, so I made her promise come true. I bound her soul to the next life, chained in ugliness, trapped between worlds. Do you know what that kind of love does to a spirit?" Kael's claws extended, his wolf howling beneath his skin. "You twisted her curse to feed your jealousy." "I saved her from herself," she snapped, the air shattering with her fury. "And now, she carries my power, my blood, my vengeance. She will rise as the new moon's vessel, and you," her tone softened, almost tender, "you will kneel again." Kael roared, lunging forward. His claws passed through her like mist, but her laughter followed him as he fell to his knees. "Every time you try to save her," she whispered in his ear, "you bring her closer to me." Light erupted from the floor, the same crimson sigil that burned on Aria's skin. It pulsed once, twice, then branded itself into the stone. Kael gritted his teeth against the pain lancing through his body. The mark appeared on his chest, glowing through his shirt, echoing hers. When the light faded, the spirit was gone. Only her voice lingered. "When the blood moon rises, she will not be yours to save." Kael's breath came ragged, his knees pressed into the cold stone. He looked down at the glowing mark on his skin, his pulse sinking with Aria's from miles away. He could feel her heartbeat, faint and frightened. And beneath it, another rhythm, dark, hungry, calling him. He rose slowly, fury simmering beneath his calm. "If the moon wants a war," he whispered, "then I'll give her one." The forest wind answered with a howl, his wolves, his kingdom, his fate awakening. And somewhere in the distance, Aria screamed his name. Chapter 13. The Blood Moon Rises. The night was trembling. Aria felt it first in her veins, a low, electric hum, like the air before a storm. The forest around her seemed to pulse with that rhythm. The moon was rising, not silver as before, but deep red, its glow bleeding into the clouds. Every time she breathed, shadows licked at her skin. The curse was waking. She gripped the rough bark of a fallen tree, her knuckles pale. The warriors Kael had left to guard her were gone, dispersed, she thought dimly. Or dead. She couldn't remember when the screams began. The forest had turned against them all, whispering with her stepmother's voice. "You cannot hide from me, my darling." The wind carried the words like poison. Aria's vision blurred. Her body ached, her pulse erratic. Every part of her wanted to run, but where could she go when the darkness was inside her? Her skin began to burn. She gasped, falling to her knees. Shadows erupted from her palms, writhing like living smoke. They wrapped around her arms, her chest, her throat. It was like drowning in her own blood. "Stop!" she whispered, clawing at her skin. "Please, not again." The voice that answered wasn't hers. "The blood moon has come. You are mine now." The shadows tightened, seeping into her lungs, her mind, her bones. For a heartbeat, she saw her stepmother standing before her, beautiful, regal, and terrible. Her eyes were endless pools of silver light. "You were meant to carry my legacy," the spirit hissed, circling her. "Not love the wolf who destroyed our kind." Aria screamed, the sound breaking the air. The ground trembled beneath her, cracks spidering through the earth. From those cracks, black mist rose like smoke, and shapes began to form, wolves made of shadow, eyes burning with crimson light. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled. The power was too strong. The curse wasn't just awakening, it was consuming her. Then, through the haze, she felt it. A heartbeat, steady, fierce, familiar. Kael. Her heart stuttered. The bond between them, once faint, now pulsed like a living tether. Through that invisible thread, she felt his anger, his grief, his relentless love burning like wildfire. "Aria!" His voice broke through the storm. She turned her head, vision splitting between light and shadow. He was running toward her, his body bathed in the glow of the blood moon, his eyes pure gold. He fell to his knees beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Stay with me," he growled. "Fight it." She wanted to. Moon above, she wanted to. But the curse laughed through her lips, her stepmother's voice echoing from her throat. "She's mine, Wolf. You can't save her. You never could." Kael's jaw tightened, his claws unsheathing. "Then I'll die trying." He pressed his palm against the mark on her collarbone, the crescent scar blazing beneath his touch. His own chest glowed in answer, the same sigil burning bright. The connection flared like lightning between them. For a moment, the shadows recoiled, hissing. Aria gasped as her body seized, caught between two forces, the curse pulling her into darkness, and Kael's power anchoring her to the light. Her eyes met his, tears streaking her cheeks. "If you stay, she'll kill you." He smiled, a wolf's smile, fierce and full of defiance. "Then she'll have to earn it." He pulled her close, their marks pressing together, their magic colliding in a blinding surge of silver and red. The blood moon above shuddered, cracks of light splitting through its crimson surface. Aria felt something tear loose inside her, the curse, screaming as it was dragged toward the moon itself. Her stepmother's wail echoed across the sky, fading into nothing. The shadows shattered. The light swallowed everything. When the silence came, Aria was still in Kael's arms. The night was silver again. The blood moon had broken. Her breathing slowed, her heartbeat syncing with his. The mark on her skin dimmed to a soft glow. She looked up at him weakly. "You broke it." Kael shook his head. "We did." But deep in the forest, unseen beneath the ancient roots, something stirred. One last thread of darkness, waiting. And above them, the moon flickered once, like a closing eye. Chapter 14. The morning after the blood moon. Dawn came quiet. Too quiet. Kael had expected the forest to sing again, to hear birds, wind, the rustle of leaves. But it was as if the world held its breath. The air smelled of ash and rain, and beneath it all, the faint trace of magic dying slow. He sat beside her, his back against a blackened tree. Aria lay wrapped in his cloak, the silver of her hair dull with soot. Her breathing was shallow but steady. She looked human again. The shadow marks had faded from her skin. Only the faint scar over her heart, the crescent mark, remained. His too, a twin wound, glowing faintly beneath his collarbone. Kael brushed a strand of hair from her cheek, his claws trembling. He'd faced wars, rebellions, moon-mad beasts, but this quiet fear was something else entirely. The fear of losing her when he'd only just begun to know her. He remembered the moment the light swallowed them both. How he'd felt her heartbeat sinking with his. How, for one terrible instant, he thought he'd torn his own soul apart to save hers. Now she was breathing, and he didn't know if that meant he'd won, or if the curse was only sleeping. "You're going to hate yourself for this," a voice muttered behind him. Kael didn't turn. He knew that voice, Gareth, his beta. The man sounded half in awe, half in fear. "She's cursed, Kael. The whole forest saw what happened. The pack is terrified. They think the moon turned against us." Kael's jaw tightened. The moon didn't turn. It revealed. Revealed what? Kael rose slowly, his cloak falling from his shoulders. His gaze drifted over the clearing, the ring of scorched earth where the blood moon's light had burned away the curse. That she's not our enemy, and that my curse, our plague, was tied to hers all along. He could feel Gareth's unease. The beta shifted, voice low. "The council won't stand for this. They'll demand her head. You defied the moon's will again." Kael's laugh was hollow. "They said the same when I spared the rogues, when I turned my back on the wars. And yet, we're still standing." "This is different," Gareth pressed. "You risked everything for her." Kael turned then, his golden eyes burning in the half-light. "I didn't risk everything, Gareth. I chose everything. And I'd do it again." A long silence fell between them. Finally, the beta exhaled, shaking his head. "Then you'd better be ready for what comes next. The High Council has summoned you to the Moon Hall." Kael's pulse slowed. He looked back down at Aria, her face pale and still. "They can wait. She can't protect you from them." "No," Kael said softly, "but I can protect her." He knelt beside Aria again, resting his hand lightly against her cheek. The mark beneath his skin flared faintly, responding to hers. The bond between them was undeniable now, woven by the curse, sealed by their choice. When she stirred, her lashes fluttering open, he caught his breath. Her eyes, silver once, now softened to pale blue, met his. "Kael," she whispered. Her voice was cracked, raw. "It's over, isn't it?" He hesitated. "For now." Her lips trembled. "You shouldn't have saved me." He smiled faintly. "You think I had a choice?" Aria blinked at him, confusion flickering across her face. "The curse, it's not gone, is it?" Kael's silence was answer enough. He could feel it, deep inside. Something still coiled beneath her skin, patient and cold. The moon had taken the darkness away, yes, but it hadn't destroyed it. It had bound it to her instead. To them both. A faint tremor rippled through the ground. The forest groaned, old trees whispering. Kael looked toward the horizon where the first rays of sunlight split the mist. "Rest," he murmured, brushing her hair back. "You fought harder than anyone I've ever known." Her hand found his wrist, fingers cold but steady. "And what will you fight now?" He met her gaze. "Everything that comes." As she drifted back to sleep, Kael rose, his silhouette cutting through the morning light. His wolf stirred beneath his skin, restless, waiting. The blood moon might have ended, but the war between light and shadow had only just begun. And Kael knew one thing with absolute certainty: he would burn the heavens themselves before he let the darkness take her again. Chapter 15. The Summons of the Moon Hall. By the time Kael reached the Moon Hall, the sun had already bled into twilight. The marble towers rose like pale spears against the dimming sky, each one carved with ancient runes that glowed faintly beneath the moon's first light. He'd walked these halls 100 times before, but tonight they felt different. Colder. Watching. Every step echoed, and the sound of his boots seemed too loud in the silence. The guards didn't meet his gaze. They stepped aside quickly, their heads bowed, their fear thick in the air. At the massive iron doors ahead, 2 sentinels crossed their spears. "Alpha Kael," one said tightly. "The council awaits you." Kael nodded once, jaw set. "Then let's not keep the gods waiting." The doors groaned open, revealing the circular chamber beyond, lit by 1,000 candles, the scent of incense heavy. The High Council sat in a ring of thrones carved from moonstone, each figure draped in silver robes that shimmered like frost. At their center stood High Seer Melis, her eyes, milky and unseeing, lifted toward Kael the moment he entered, as though she felt his presence before hearing it. "Kael of the Silver Bane," she intoned, her voice echoing unnaturally. "You stand accused of breaking the lunar decree. You interfered with divine judgment. You spared the cursed maiden." Kael didn't bow. He didn't even blink. "I spared a life that the moon itself spared. There was no decree to kill her." Melis tilted her head, the movement eerily bird-like. "And yet the forest burns with the remnants of her corruption. The moon bled red because of her presence." Kael took a step forward, his voice a low growl. "No, the moon bled because we failed her kind long ago. You speak of corruption, yet you know nothing of the curse that binds her. It's the same magic that poisons our blood, the same that took my brother, my pack." "Enough!" one of the elders snapped, his rings clinking as he rose. "You dare speak of the curse as if it's our burden to share? That creature is a vessel of ruin. She should have been purged." Kael's temper flared. His eyes flashed gold. "She is no creature." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The seer's lips curved slightly, as though she could smell his defiance. "You speak with the voice of the wolf," she said softly, "not the king. Is that what you are now, Kael? A beast ruled by instinct, by desire?" Kael's pulse thundered. For a moment, the image of Aria's face flashed behind his eyes. Her tears, her quiet courage, the way she'd whispered his name like it meant something holy. He straightened, voice steady but fierce. "I am ruled by truth, and the truth is this: whatever curse she bears, it is tied to the moon itself. To destroy her would be to wound the goddess. You want answers? You'll find them through her, not by spilling her blood." The seer fell silent. Her pale fingers traced the air, sensing threads unseen. Then her voice dropped to a whisper that carried like thunder. "Then bring her before us." Kael stiffened. "She's still healing." "You speak as though you have a choice," the seer said. "The moon demands balance. If you refuse, your alpha title will be stripped, and your bond severed by force." The chamber filled with the low hum of magic. The runes on the floor pulsed faintly, reacting to her words. Kael's wolf bristled beneath his skin. He clenched his fists. "You'd tear apart a bond forged under the moon's eye? You'd risk war between shadow and silver?" Millie smiled faintly. "We've risked more for less." For a long moment, no one moved. Then Kael exhaled slowly, shoulders heavy but unbroken. "Then I'll bring her," he said, voice hard. "But when you see her, when you feel the power she carries, you'll understand that she isn't the end of our world. She's the key to saving it." Melis tilted her head again, as if studying him through the veil of time itself. "We shall see," she murmured. As Kael turned to leave, the chamber doors closed behind him with a resonant boom. Outside, the moon had risen fully, casting its silver light across the courtyard. Kael looked up at it, jaw tight. "They'll come for you," he whispered to the night. "But they'll have to go through me first." And somewhere deep in the forest, as if answering him, a soft whisper echoed on the wind, his name, spoken like a vow. "Kael!" Chapter 16. The Trial of the Cursed Maiden. The night was too still. Even the stars seemed to hold their breath. Kael stood before the moon hall once more, the echo of the council's decree still burning in his ears. Behind him, The heavy oak doors creaked open, slowly, deliberately, and the guards emerged with Aria between them. Her wrists were bound in silver chains, the metal glowing faintly against her skin. Every step she took left a shimmer of darkness in her wake, like the shadows themselves mourned her suffering. Kael's wolf roared inside him. They bound her with silver. He moved forward instantly. "Remove those chains," he snarled. The nearest guard hesitated. "By order of the seer. By order of your king," Kael cut in, his voice sharp enough to make the torches flicker. "Remove them." The guard obeyed, trembling. When the shackles fell, Aria stumbled, catching herself before she hit the marble floor. Kael caught the faintest whimper as the silver burned away from her wrists, leaving raw marks that pulsed with light. Her eyes met his then, stormy, frightened, and impossibly gentle. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. Kael's chest tightened. "You think I'd let them face you alone?" Before she could reply, the seer's voice echoed through the chamber. "Bring forth the cursed maiden." The words reverberated through the hall like thunder. The air grew heavy with magic, the candle flames bending toward the dais where the council sat. Aria lifted her chin, her trembling barely visible now, her defiance glimmering beneath her fear. Kael stepped beside her as they entered the circle of light. The seer watched with sightless eyes that somehow saw too much. "You are the child of shadow," Melis said, "born under the moon's envy. Your stepmother's curse marked you as the moon's rival. You stand accused of spreading the lunar plague and poisoning the balance between light and dark." Aria's lips parted, but no sound came. Her breath hitched, her throat tight. Kael took a step forward. "She's not the source of the plague," he said. "She's the key to curing it." The council erupted in murmurs. Melis silenced them with a raised hand. "You speak boldly, Alpha. Prove your claim." Kael turned to Aria. Her gaze darted between the seer and him, uncertain. "Show them," he said softly, "what you showed me that night in the forest." Aria hesitated, trembling. "If I do, they'll see what I really am. They'll see the truth," Kael whispered. "And the truth will protect you." Slowly she nodded, her hands lifted, fingers trembling as she called to the power within her. The light dimmed. The air thickened with energy. And then shadows unfurled from her palms, black as night, swirling around her like ribbons of living darkness. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The seer rose slightly, her blind eyes widening. But then light bloomed within the darkness. Silver and gold, moonlight weaving through shadow like veins of fire. The shadows weren't devouring, they were healing. The floor beneath her glowed faintly, and the runes that had once flared in warning now shimmered in harmony. "She carries both," Melis whispered, softening her voice. "Light and shadow." Kael stepped closer to Aria, his voice steady. "The moon didn't curse her. It chose her." For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then the air cracked, loud and sharp. Melis gasped, clutching her chest as a mark appeared over her heart, the crescent sigil that mirrored Aria's. Every candle flared at once. The hall trembled. And just like that, everything changed. The seer fell to her knees. "The moon has spoken," she breathed. "The curse must end through her." Kael turned to Aria. Her eyes shone, wet with disbelief. "They finally believe me," she whispered. But before he could answer, a violent gust tore through the hall. The torches went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Then a voice, low, venomous, slithered through the air. "You think the moon speaks mercy?" A shadow gathered at the far end of the chamber, coalescing into a form. Female, regal, and burning with fury. Aria froze, blood draining from her face. "No!" Kael's wolf snarled, ready to strike. "Who are you?" The figure stepped into the dim light. Her eyes glowed red, her beauty twisted by hate. "I am the one who gave her that mark," she hissed. "The one you call stepmother." The shadows behind her rose like a tide. Did you really think, she sneered, a curse could be broken without its maker? And as her laughter echoed, the hall plunged into chaos. Chapter 17, The Stepmother's Wrath. The torches exploded in a burst of silver fire, then vanished. Kael's instinct screamed. His claws extended before he thought to summon them, the beast within him already howling for blood. The air itself seemed to shiver with cold hatred. When the shadows cleared, the figure standing at the far end of the hall wasn't just a woman anymore. She was something ancient, something wrong. Her gown bled into mist, her hair floating like black smoke. Her eyes glowed the color of spilled wine under the moon. Aria's stepmother, the witch queen of Thornvale. And she was smiling. "You were always meant to kneel before me, Aria," she said, her voice lilting, melodic and venomous. "You thought you could hide behind his protection?" Kael stepped forward, placing himself between them. "You will not touch her." The witch laughed, a sound that made the runes along the walls flicker and die. "Oh, Alpha King, you think you're her savior? You don't even know what she is." Kael bared his teeth. "I know enough." Her smile widened. "Then let me enlighten you." Without warning, her hand rose, and the shadows lashed out like serpents. They struck Kael square in the chest, sending him crashing into the marble wall. Pain tore through him, cold, burning pain that sank deep into his bones. "Kael!" Aria screamed, running toward him. But the witch was faster. A wall of black flame rose between them, trapping Aria on one side and Kael on the other. He could barely see her through the flickering haze, her outline trembling, her magic pulsing like a wounded heartbeat. "Do you know what her curse truly is?" the witch whispered, her form drifting closer to Kael. "It wasn't ugliness. It was rejection. Every time someone looks at her with love, the curse grows stronger. It feeds on affection, on desire." Kael's breath caught. "That's why she hides, why she trembles every time I touch her." The witch's lips curved cruelly. "So go on, Alpha. Love her. Save her. Break her." The words slithered into his skull, poisonous and sweet. He could feel the truth in them, because the moment he begun to care for Aria, the curse had flared. He remembered the silver burns, the way her magic had lashed out, wild and pained. Still he wouldn't stop. He pushed to his feet, every muscle screaming. "You've had your time in her head," he growled. "Now you'll face me." The witch tilted her head. "You'd fight me? For her?" Kael's eyes burned gold. "I'd die for her." The shadows struck again, but this time he met them with light. His claws glowed, his wolf half surging to the surface as the primal energy of the moonstone inside his chest pulsed awake. The ground split beneath his feet, the air trembling as light met dark in a violent explosion. When the blast cleared, the witch staggered, her mist form flickering. "What are you?" she hissed. Kael's voice rumbled, half growl, half command. "I'm the Alpha chosen by the moon, the balance you tried to corrupt." At the sound of his voice, the fire around Aria weakened. She stepped through it, trembling but defiant, her eyes glowing faint silver. "Mother," she whispered, "you lost your soul the day you cursed me." The witch's expression twisted. "Ungrateful girl." "Enough!" Kael's roar shook the chamber. The light in his chest burst outward, merging with Aria's own magic. Together, their energies collided in a radiant beam that cut through the witch's form. For a moment, it seemed to work. Her body dissolved into wisps of shadow, her voice fading into an echo. But then silence. Too still. Too easy. Aria fell to her knees, panting, her hands trembling. Kael knelt beside her, pulling her close. "It's over," he whispered. But even as he said it, the runes on the floor reignited, this time crimson. Aria gasped, clutching her chest. A sigil, dark and sharp, began to form over her heart, the witch's mark. Kael froze. "No!" The The seer's voice echoed faintly from behind them, filled with dread. She's bound herself to the curse. The witch isn't gone. She's inside her. Aria's scream tore through the hall. Kael's blood turned to ice. Because of that, he finally understood the truth. The witch hadn't come to destroy Aria. She'd come to possess her. Chapter 18, The Possession. The world fractured into shards of moonlight and shadow. Aria could feel her stepmother inside her, like venom in her veins, like icy fingers curling around her heart. Her body was no longer her own. Her breath came shallow, ragged, as the darkness surged through her, bending her will, whispering in her mind. "You thought you could defy me, little moonling?" The voice wasn't external anymore. It was inside her skull, coiling around her thoughts. Every word carried the scent of iron and decay. "You took everything from me. The moon's blessing. The king's favor. Now, I'll take everything from you." "Aria!" Kael's voice cut through the fog. He was kneeling before her, one arm scorched, his chest still glowing faintly from the moonstone's light. His eyes, gold, fierce, desperate, anchored her for a heartbeat. But then the witch's laughter came again, spilling from Aria's own mouth. She watched in horror as her own hand, lifted and lashed out. Shadows burst from her fingertips, striking Kael square in the chest. He flew backward, crashing into the wall with a sickening crack. "No, no, stop!" Aria screamed, though the sound came out as a distorted echo, half hers, half the witch's. "He thinks he loves you," the witch whispered, her tone soft, mocking. "But what he loves is your weakness. Let me show him your power." "Kael!" Aria's body moved without permission, rising from the ground, her feet barely touching the floor. Her hair whipped in the storm of dark energy gathering around her. The marble cracked beneath her feet as her magic pulsed, unstable, uncontrollable. Kael coughed, struggling to rise. "Fight her, Aria! You're stronger than she is." "I can't," she sobbed. "She's inside me." "Then burn her out." The command struck something deep within her. The moonstone pendant around her neck, once dormant, began to glow. Its light fought against the shadows, sparking pain through her chest. The witch shrieked, clawing at her from within. "You can't destroy me." "Yes," Aria whispered, forcing the words through clenched teeth. "I can." She reached inward, into the deepest part of herself, the part that had survived years of cruelty, of hiding, of believing she was unworthy of love. She found there a small, steady flame. Not power, not rage. Hope. It flared, soft at first, then blazing. The witch screamed as silver light erupted from Aria's skin, flooding the room. The shadows recoiled, writhing, clawing for escape. Kael shielded his eyes, but refused to step back. "Aria, stay with me. Don't let her win." Aria's body convulsed. The witch's voice broke into fragments. "If I burn, you burn too." "I'd rather die as myself," Aria gasped, "than live as your shadow." The light expanded, swallowing everything, the torches, the walls, even the echoes of the witch's rage. For a moment, all that existed was the sound of her heartbeat and the moon's light pouring through her veins. Then silence. She collapsed, falling into Kael's waiting arms. He caught her easily, his heart pounding against her ear. Her skin was pale, her breath shallow, but the dark sigil over her chest was gone. He brushed her hair from her face. "Aria, look at me." Her eyelids fluttered. "Kael!" "You're safe," he whispered, though his voice trembled with disbelief. "You did it." But even as he said it, the seer stepped into the chamber, her expression grave. "The curse has been broken, but at a cost." Kael looked up sharply. "What cost?" The seer's eyes filled with tears. The witch's essence was bound to the moon's cycle. At the next blood moon, the curse will return, unless the bond between them is sealed permanently. Aria stirred weakly, her voice barely a whisper. "How?" The seer hesitated. through union of soul and blood, a bond made under the moon's full gaze. But such magic demands sacrifice. If the bond is imperfect, one will perish. Kael's jaw clenched, his gaze flicking to Aria. Then we'll make it perfect. She met his eyes, weary but determined. Even if it kills us, his thumb brushed her lips, his voice low, resolute. I'd rather die bound to you than live, cursed apart. Outside, the moon glowed blood-red again, watching, waiting. Their final trial was about to begin. Chapter 19, The Blood Moon Bond. The moon hung heavy and crimson over the ruined courtyard, an unblinking eye staring down upon Kael and Aria. Its light bled over the marble, the statues, the shattered remnants of their world. The storm had quieted, but the silence that followed was far more terrifying. It was the stillness before judgment. Aria stood before him, her skin pale as frost, the moonstone pendant still pulsing faintly at her throat. She looked like she was fading, like the light was slipping out of her piece by piece. The seer's warning rang in his head. If the bond is imperfect, one will perish. He would not let it be her. Kael took a step forward, his boots crunching over the broken stone. His chest ached from where her magic had struck him earlier, but the pain was distant now. All he could feel was the pounding in his veins, the pull toward her, fierce and undeniable. She met his gaze, and in her eyes, he saw everything: fear, exhaustion, love, defiance. The very things that had undone him from the beginning. The seer set a bond of soul and blood, she whispered. Her voice trembled. But she didn't tell us what it takes. Kael's jaw tightened. I don't care what it takes. We finish this together. She shook her head weakly. Kael, if it chooses one life for the other, then it chooses mine. He cut her off, voice low and certain. Aria's lips parted in protest, but the words never came. The blood moon's light intensified, bathing them both in scarlet. Around them, ancient runes began to ignite along the courtyard floor, glowing like veins of molten gold. The seer's voice echoed from the shadows, low, rhythmic, ritualistic. 2 hearts, 1 fate. 1 life, 1 death. Let the moon judge the worth of the bond. Kael's breath fogged in the cold night air. He drew a dagger from his belt, a blade forged from moonsteel, the metal of truth. Your hand, he murmured. She hesitated. Then, slowly she extended it. Their fingers brushed, and he felt it, the spark of something ancient, something bigger than them both. He pressed the blade gently across his palm, and then hers. The blood that welled was dark, almost black under the crimson glow. When he intertwined their fingers, the world exploded. Their blood mingled, sizzling where it met. Light flared around them, silver and scarlet, pain and rapture all at once. Kael's knees buckled, but he held on, his grip on her unyielding. He could feel her inside him now, not just her magic, but her memories. Her childhood laughter in the forest, her mother's lullabies, the night she first saw him across the river and thought he looked like a ghost. The loneliness, the quiet, terrible belief that she was cursed to be unloved. It broke something open in him. Aria, his voice cracked. You were never cursed. You were chosen. Her breath hitched. Then why does it hurt? Because real love always does. The runes around them surged higher, blinding. Kael felt his body splitting, every cell burning in sacrifice. The magic demanded balance, life for life, heart for heart. He could feel it choosing. He stepped forward, pulling her against him, his forehead pressed to hers. Take me, he whispered to the moon. Spare her. Kael, no! Her scream tore through the night. She clutched him desperately as the light reached its peak, the moon itself seeming to pulse in response. Then, a sound like glass shattering. The runes flickered. The seer gasped. The bond had been forged. But only one heartbeat echoed. Kael's vision blurred. The world tilted. Aria's face hovered above him, streaked with tears and moonlight. Her voice was breaking, pleading. "Stay with me." "You can't. Kael, please." He smiled faintly, his blood staining her hands. "I told you the bond would be perfect." The light dimmed. The moon faded from crimson to silver. Then darkness. Chapter 20. The Hollow Crown. The first thing Kael felt was silence. Not the quiet of sleep, but the vast, hollow stillness that comes when the world itself forgets to breathe. Then light. Soft, silver, and distant, like moonlight diffused through water. He floated in it, weightless, the edges of his body fading into nothingness. There was no pain, no heartbeat, no breath. Only the faint echo of Aria's voice, raw, broken, calling his name through the veil. He tried to move toward it, tried to speak, but the sound never came. Instead, something ancient stirred in the void. A whisper that wasn't quite a voice, both inside him and all around. "You would trade eternity for love? Foolish wolf." Kael's jaw clenched. If eternity means a world without her, then yes. The whisper rippled, amused, almost cruel. The darkness shifted, revealing faint glimmers, faces of long-dead alphas, their eyes burning like embers in the mist. His ancestors, the kings before him. One stepped forward, his form solidifying, a towering wolfman cloaked in shadows and moonfire. "You broke the ancient oath," the specter said. "You mingled mortal blood with royal. You shattered the balance." Kael met his gaze. "Then I'll rebuild it with her." The ghost snarled softly. "The curse was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to test you, to see if you could love without power, without control." Kael's throat tightened. He remembered every time he'd pushed Aria away, every command, every growl of authority born from fear, not strength. And still, she had loved him through it. The ancestor's voice softened. "She's calling you, Kael. But if you return, your crown will not be whole. You will be Alpha no more." Kael didn't hesitate. "Let it be broken. A hollow crown means nothing without her beside me." The whispering ceased. The light dimmed. Then her voice again, clearer this time, filled with trembling power. "Kael, please. Come back to me. I can't do this without you." Her magic wrapped around his fading spirit like a hand pulling him upward. The moon flared in response, silver veins of light threading through the void. The ancestors faded, leaving him with one last echo. Love has always been the truest power. And just like that, the darkness cracked open. Kael gasped. Air rushed into his lungs like fire. His body convulsed. He was alive. He blinked against the blur of light and shapes until one came into focus. Aria, kneeling beside him, her face streaked with tears and moonlight. Her hands trembled on his chest, glowing faintly with the remnants of her magic. Her sob turned into a laugh when she saw his eyes open. "You stubborn wolf." His voice was rough, broken. "Didn't I tell you? I always come back." She threw herself into his arms. He caught her, holding her as if she were the last breath in his lungs. The moonlight poured over them both, softer now, forgiving. When he finally looked around, the courtyard was no longer ruined. The vines had turned silver. The stones hummed faintly with life. Even the air smelled different, cleaner, lighter, reborn. Aria pulled back, just enough to touch his cheek. "The curse, it's gone, Kael. The whole land feels it. The bond, it's complete." He brushed a strand of hair from her face, his thumb lingering on her skin. "No, we're complete." Her lips curved into a trembling smile. "You gave up your crown." "I'd give it up 1,000 times," he murmured, "because a crown without love is just a weight of iron." Their foreheads touched. For the first time, Kael felt peace. Not power, not dominance, just peace. But then, a low rumble echoed from the forest beyond the walls. A sound that didn't belong to wind or beast. Something else had awakened beneath the blood moon. Aria stiffened. "What was that?" Kael's gaze hardened, the alpha instinct stirring once more. something the curse kept buried. He rose, helping her to her feet. The moonstone at her throat flickered once, faintly crimson, and deep in the shadows beyond the courtyard, two golden eyes opened. Chapter 21: The Forgotten Beast. The forest was breathing. That was the only way Kael could describe it. Every shadow, every tree, every gust of wind pulsed like lungs filling with air. The night hummed with an energy that felt older than the moon itself. Beneath the silver glow, the air shimmered as if reality was fraying at the edges. Aria stood close, her hand still clasped in his. "Kael," she whispered, "something's wrong." The curse wasn't supposed to leave anything behind. Before he could answer, the ground shuddered. Roots tore from the soil, twisting upward like claws. From the darkness ahead, a shape began to emerge, massive, indistinct, and wrong. It wasn't wolf. It wasn't human. It was something forgotten. A deep growl rolled through the clearing, so low it rattled Kael's bones. "Stay behind me," he murmured. But Aria shook her head. "No, it's reacting to me. I feel it, like it knows my magic." Kael's chest tightened. "That's because it does." As the creature stepped into the light, Kael saw it clearly, a hulking beast of black mist and bone, eyes burning gold like the ancestors, but laced with crimson veins of corruption. Its body pulsed with the same energy that once bound Aria's curse. Aria gasped. "It's the moon's shadow." Kael frowned. "What do you mean?" Her voice trembled. "When my stepmother cursed me, she didn't just bind me to darkness. She fed part of the moon's magic to it. When the curse broke, that power had nowhere to go. So it became this," Kael said, his voice low, feral. "A living remnant of everything the moon tried to destroy." The beast lunged. Kael moved on instinct. His wolf surged forward, claws meeting claws. The sound was thunderous, like metal shattering against stone. Sparks of moonlight flew where their blows met. The beast's strength was monstrous, its aura suffocating. Aria chanted something in the old tongue, her palms glowing blue. Tendrils of light coiled around the creature's limbs, trying to hold it. But the shadow twisted, devouring the light like smoke swallowing fire. "Kael, it's not working," she cried. "Then we end it another way." He roared, slamming the beast back. The earth cracked beneath their feet. For a brief moment, the moonlight caught its form, and Kael saw faces writhing inside its misty body. Souls. The souls of cursed alphas, trapped for generations. "Aria," he said between breaths. "It's them, the kings my ancestors damned." Her eyes widened. "Then if we destroy it, they'll never be freed," Kael finished grimly. For a heartbeat, they hesitated. The creature turned its golden eyes on Aria, as if sensing her compassion, and lunged again. Kael didn't think. He moved. His claws caught the creature mid-leap, forcing it down, but its tendrils lashed across his chest, leaving burning trails of darkness. Aria screamed his name, her magic flaring bright enough to blind him for a second. When his vision cleared, she was standing between him and the creature, her aura blazing like a small sun. "Aria, no! It's bound to my curse," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "That means it's bound to me. I can unmake it." He stepped forward, reaching for her. "If you try, it'll consume you." She smiled through her tears. "Then you'll pull me back, won't you?" Something in him broke. "Always." The beast lunged again, but this time Aria didn't move. She raised her hands and let it strike. The darkness enveloped her completely. Kael roared, diving after her, but before he reached her, the air exploded in a burst of silver light. The shockwave knocked him off his feet, flattening trees, silencing everything. When the glow faded, Aria was gone. Only silence remained, and in the center of the clearing, the beast stood frozen, its form flickering like a dying flame. Kael staggered to his knees, his chest heaving. "Aria!" Then, through the mist, her voice came, soft, distant, but unmistakably hers. "Find me, Kael. I'm still here." His heart stopped. The moon above shimmered faintly, and the creature's golden eyes turned blue her color. She wasn't gone. She was inside it. Kael rose, eyes blazing silver. "Then I'll tear heaven and shadow apart until I bring you back." Chapter 22. The Moon's Shadow and the Wolf King. The world had gone still. Not silent, still. As if time itself feared to move. Ash drifted like snow through the silver light, the smell of burnt earth and fading magic clinging to the air. Kael stood in the clearing, heart hammering in his chest, his claws half extended, his wolf pacing beneath his skin. The beast, the moon's shadow, loomed ahead, its shape flickering between solid and mist. But what froze Kael wasn't its form. It was her eyes. They glowed blue, Aria's blue. "Aria," he breathed, voice cracking. "If you can hear me, fight it." For a moment, the creature stilled. Its head tilted, just slightly, and then, her voice, faint as breath. "Kael, it's cold." The sound nearly shattered him. "Hold on, I'm coming." Without another word, he moved. His wolf surged forward, for bursting across his body, bones shifting with a sickening crack. The transformation ripped through him, primal and raw. By the time he landed, claws dug into the soil, he was more beast than man. Every sense burning, every nerve screaming for her. He attacked. The impact was thunderous. The moon's shadow met him with a roar that shook the mountains, and for a heartbeat, Kael thought the world itself might tear in two. They clashed, claw against darkness, fang against shadow. Each strike echoed like a heartbeat in the void. Still, even through the violence, he saw flashes, memories. Her laugh, her tears. The moment she'd said, "You'll pull me back, won't you?" He fought harder. The shadow struck him across the chest, sending him crashing into a fallen tree. Pain flared white-hot, but Kael pushed to his feet. He couldn't stop, not now. "Aria!" he roared. "You hear me? I'm not letting you go." The creature froze again. Its claws faltered. Within its swirling mist, something shimmered, a faint outline of her face. "Kael, don't!" His breath hitched. "Don't what?" "Don't lose yourself for me." Her voice trembled, fractured by static, as though 1,000 echoes spoke through her. "Too late," he whispered, a bitter smile tugging at his lips. "You already own me." He charged again, this time not to kill, but to reach. As his claws sank into the beast's form, his vision went white. The world inverted, and, suddenly, he wasn't in the clearing anymore. He was inside the shadow. Darkness stretched in every direction, limitless, suffocating. The air shimmered with broken reflections, fragments of memories suspended like glass. He saw flashes of her childhood, her stepmother's cruel eyes, the curse taking root, the years of isolation. Every scar she carried, every tear she'd swallowed, it all surrounded him. Then he saw her. Aria stood in the center of the void, glowing faintly, her hair drifting like smoke. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "Kael, no! You weren't supposed to follow." He reached her in 2 strides and pulled her close, his voice rough. "I told you. Always." Tears filled her eyes. "You can't stay. This place, it's where the moon keeps what it wants forgotten." He shook his head. "Then I'll remind it." The darkness trembled. The creature's voice, deep and ancient, echoed through the void. "Wolf King, your blood binds this curse. End her or be consumed." Kael snarled. "Then I choose neither." He took Aria's hand, their fingers locking. Light exploded where they touched. His mark, the one that had burned since the night he met her, flared across both their wrists. The bond pulsed once, twice, then burst outward in a storm of silver fire. The shadow screamed. The world convulsed. Kael felt his body tearing apart, but through it all, he held her, whispering into her hair. "I found you. I always will. And then light. When he opened his eyes, dawn had broken. The forest was quiet again, the beast gone. Aria lay beside him, breathing faintly, her fingers still tangled with his. Kael brushed a thumb along her cheek. You came back. Her lips curved into a weak smile. You dragged me back, you stubborn wolf. He laughed, the sound cracked and raw. You didn't think I'd let the moon keep you, did you? As the first rays of sunlight touched them, her curse mark faded completely, replaced by his glowing silver. They were one now, bound not by curse, but by choice. And somewhere in the distance, the moon dimmed, as if bowing to them. Chapter 23. The Price of the Moon. The dawn was too quiet. Kael lay still beneath the bruised sky, his arm heavy where it cradled Aria. The wind carried no sound of birds, no rustle of pack or beast. The world itself seemed to hold its breath. His chest ached, every inhale a reminder that he was still alive. Barely. His wolf stirred weakly inside him, tired, soothed but at peace. And yet something was wrong. Aria's heartbeat was faint against his palm. Too faint. He shifted, brushing hair from her face. The sunlight caught the silver trace of their bond mark, pulsing softly against her skin. But where his mark glowed strong, hers flickered, fading with each breath. No, his voice cracked. No, stay with me. Her lashes fluttered, and for a moment she smiled. You did it. You broke the curse. I didn't do it alone. He cupped her cheek. Aria, the bond. I know. Her fingers trembled as they touched his. It wasn't meant to hold two souls. When you pulled me from the moon's realm, it tethered us too tightly. One light must fade for the other to burn. Kael's throat tightened. Then let it be mine. She laughed softly, a sound both heartbreaking and beautiful. Always the hero. He shook his head, desperation bleeding through. You think I fought gods and monsters just to lose you now? Aria's eyes glimmered with tears. Kael, you didn't lose me. You found me. And that's all the moon ever wanted, to see if love could defy its curse. Her words chilled him. What do you mean? The curse was never about ugliness or envy, she whispered. It was about forgetting love. My stepmother lost hers to jealousy, and the moon turned her bitterness into a spell. It wanted to see if anyone could love despite the darkness. Kael's jaw clenched. Then it chose the wrong wolf to test. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as if his strength could rewrite destiny. The forest shimmered faintly around them, the air thick with old magic. The moon still lingered in the sky, pale against the morning light, watching. Kael lifted his gaze. You hear me, he growled into the wind. You took everything from her. You won't take her life too. The ground trembled. The trees whispered. And a voice, ancient, female, soft as twilight, moved through the silence. Would you trade your crown, Wolf King, to pay her price? Kael didn't hesitate. I'll trade everything. Aria's eyes widened. Kael, no! But the moon's light descended, silver beams wrapping around them. Kael felt his mark burn, spreading across his chest, his veins, his bones. It hurt, but he didn't fight it. He welcomed it. The voice spoke again. Then as the moon's heir you are unmade. Your strength will fade with each rising dawn, but her heart shall beat until your final breath. He bowed his head. So be it. The light pulsed once, twice, then burst into a storm of feathers and mist. When it cleared, Kael was on his knees, gasping. The forest had come alive again, the air full of sound, life, song. And Aria, she was glowing. Color flushed back into her cheeks. Her breathing steadied. The flicker of her mark turned steady once more. But Kael could feel the change. His wolf was quieter, distant. His strength, the primal edge that had once defined him, now felt like an echo fading into silence. Aria opened her eyes. What did you do? He smiled faintly, brushing his thumb across her lips. Something foolish. Something right. Her tears broke free. Kael! Hey, he murmured, resting his forehead against hers. You're here. That's all that matters. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind hummed softly through the clearing, carrying the scent of pine and ash and moonlight. Then Aria whispered, You gave the moon your power. Kael shrugged gently. Maybe, but I still have my heart. And that's hers. He looked up, toward the pale silver disk fading into daylight. The moon doesn't own me anymore. Aria smiled through her tears. No, it blessed you. Us. She rose, helping him to his feet. Together, they stood where shadow had once ruled, their joined hands glowing faintly in the morning light. Around them, the land healed. The river shimmered clear again. The forest breathed anew. Kael leaned close, voice low, reverent. The curse ends here. Aria smiled softly, eyes glinting gold in the dawn. Then let the legend begin. Chapter 24, The Last Howl. The sun rose gently over the silver pine mountains, spilling molten gold through the mist. The curse was gone. The forest sang again. Wolves ran free beneath the canopy, no longer trembling at the moon's call. But within the Alpha King's fortress, the victory felt quieter. Aria stood at the balcony, overlooking the courtyard. The banners that once hung black with mourning now fluttered silver and white, the colors of renewal. She could hear laughter below, wolves shifting, families reunited, life returning. Yet her heart still twisted with an ache she could not name. Behind her, the door opened with a slow creak. She didn't turn. She didn't need to. I thought you'd still be resting, she murmured. Kael's voice was lower now, softer, as though the wind itself had woven through it. I couldn't sleep. Too peaceful for a wolf like me. When she faced him, her breath caught. He looked the same, and yet not. His strength had softened into something quieter. The aura of raw power that once clung to him was gone, replaced by a stillness, an almost human warmth. The wolf inside him had receded, leaving behind the man she had always known was there. Aria stepped closer, searching his eyes. You're fading. He smiled faintly, that teasing curl she had once sworn she'd never fall for. Maybe, but I'm still here. She reached for his hand. His skin was warm, his pearls steady, but the faint silver glow of their bond had dimmed to the barest shimmer. Kael, she whispered, tears stinging. You shouldn't have done it. You gave up everything. He shook his head. I gave up what didn't matter. The power, the title, they were never mine to keep. You were. Her lip trembled. And when you're gone, he brushed her cheek with his thumb. Then I'll live through you, through this forest, through every wolf that runs free under a moon that no longer demands blood. She couldn't breathe. The weight of love and loss pressed against her chest until her knees nearly gave out. But Kael caught her, holding her close, his breath warm against her hair. Don't mourn me yet, moonlight, he murmured. The moon's not done with us. Later that night, the pack gathered beneath the new moon. No red glow, no curse, only the quiet hum of rebirth. The air shimmered with silver dust that clung to leaves and skin alike, blessing or farewell. None could tell. Aria stood at the center, draped in white. The wolves circled her, heads bowed in reverence. Kael stepped forward, cloak trailing behind him. His strength had waned, but his presence commanded silence. His voice carried across the clearing like wind over stone. 4 generations, he began. We lived beneath a moon that punished us for what we feared to love. But tonight, that ends. He looked to Aria, eyes softening. Because one woman chose compassion over vengeance. One heart defied the curse. The wolves howled, not in grief, but in celebration. Kael smiled faintly, though Aria saw how his shoulders sagged beneath invisible weight. The bond between them pulsed weakly, steady as a heartbeat trying to linger. When the last echo faded, Kael turned to her. Come, he said quietly. There's one last thing I must do. He led her to the highest ridge overlooking the Silver Pine Valley, the place where he had first heard her cry, where the curse had begun. The stars hung close and bright above them, the moon pale and new. Aria's voice trembled. "Why here?" "Because this is where I found you," he said softly. "And this is where I'll leave the wolf behind." She shook her head, clutching his arm. "No, no, Kael, please." He cupped her face in his hands, eyes burning with love and regret. "You freed me from rage, from destiny, from the chains I forged myself. Let me be free now." Her tears spilled over. "I can't lose you." He smiled, leaning his forehead to hers. "You never will." The wind rose, swirling with silver motes of light. The forest below stilled, every creature watching, waiting. Kael lifted his gaze to the moon. "Thank you for letting me love her." A howl built in his chest, low, deep, powerful. It rolled through the trees like thunder. Every wolf answered, their voices merging into a single, resonant cry that shook the mountains. The light burst from him, flooding the ridge in silver brilliance. And then silence. When the glow faded, Kael was gone. Only the wind stirred, carrying his scent through the valley, cedar and frost and moonlight. Aria fell to her knees, hands pressed to the earth where he had stood. The ground was warm, pulsing faintly, alive with his essence. And then she heard it, a whisper through the leaves, tender and fierce. "My heart is yours always." The moonlight caressed her hair, wrapping her in a soft glow. She looked up, tears falling freely. A single wolf stood at the tree line, silver, spectral, eyes burning blue. It watched her for a moment, then threw back its head and howled one final time before dissolving into the dawn. Aria rose slowly, her pain mingling with something brighter. She turned toward the valley, their valley, and whispered, "Run free, my alpha.